Hi everyone, I'm Les,
And I'm Ashley.
and you're listening to Anthropotamus, where we explore some of your favorite anthropology topics.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our latest episode of Anthropotamus. It has been some time since we have recorded. We are excited to be back, and today we are discussing the book Fluent Forever by Gabriel Wyner. At least I think that's how you say his last name. Wyner? Winner? I don't know. Um,
Could be Viner. I guess it depends on where he's,
I guess it could be. I
yeah,
don't think so. I think it's a W sound.
could be.
Yep. And
Okay.
yeah, so basically, this book is about how to learn new languages efficiently. The reason I had chosen this book was because I've been trying to learn Korean and Spanish for the longest time. I have a diploma in Persian Farsi from the Defense Language Institute, and yet I still can't speak another language. And I want to so badly, and I'm so jealous of people who know more than one language. And it's just me struggling all the time to learn a language. But so here we are talking about Fluent Forever. Let's see, Les, do you want to put your 2 cents in first?
My first 2 cents for this one is I may have started reading this book at a bad time because I've just started taking a linguistics class, and a lot of the information is going over that he's going over in the book is very similar to, although less detailed than the linguistics class. So I'm coming into it thinking, okay, so I've literally just learned this, or I've just practiced this part, and I think that a lot of the information I can tell that it's going to be really useful, but I'm also not going to sit down and make a bunch of flashcards right now. So, which is the main thing he's telling people that they should do, right? Make some flashcards, make them yourself using your own pictures because you're going to create connections and remember that better. All of that together. I think it's a really interesting book and I think it'd be very, very useful. Uh, but a lot of what he's going over is, like I said, I've got a more recent or a recent example of something with more detail. So I think I was a bad choice for this one right now. Just me. I'm the
So
bad part.
it makes sense. So I've tried doing like the YouTube pictures with words, and I never found helpful because to me I couldn't associate that particular photo they chose with the word. And what he brings up is you make the flashcards yourself so that the picture makes sense to you when you're trying to learn the word, which made a
Yeah.
lot more sense to me. And I tried making the flashcards. It is far too time consuming. If you have the time to sit down and make those flashcards with the photos to help you associate with that word you're learning, it makes sense. But it's far too time consuming. He does have his Fluent Forever app that does it for you. But it's 10, I mean, but do you want to spend $10 a month for the app? I mean, the app is, I mean, if you put, honestly, I'm still paying for the app. I still use it. Um, I have found that it is much easier for me to learn Spanish words with those flashcards because I am picking the picture myself. Um, and it takes just a few seconds versus, doing paper flashcards or using Anki. But with the Korean, still having a really hard time remembering those words. And maybe it's just because I grew up hearing Spanish, so it's easier for me to pick up. But yes, most people don't have the time to make the flashcards themselves. And I tried doing it with Anki first, and that was really time consuming. Um, but with the app, it is way faster.
Well, talking about time, like just looking at time commitments that you and I both have. I mean, you work full time, right?
Hmm.
You've
Fun.
got Maria and you've got Jose you're going to be doing things with. You've got all of your different other things, which let's
Hmm.
be honest, you have too many.
I do have too many things I do.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
uh,
Uh and we can definitely like add this into that because we're reading for this now reading this right now, which helps. But between looking up different topics, between reaching out to the authors and literally going through any of the articles that we're reading and trying to make sense of it before we actually talk to the author, um, time's really, really limited, right? And I'm absolutely certain that our schedules aren't the most busy things in the world compared to some other people. I mean, I work full time. I'm going to school, and I mean, I'm not taking a full-time class roster this semester, so I should have some time in theory. But truth be told, a lot of the stuff that I'm going into right now, I'm just spending so much time just reading, just trying to make sense of timelines and all that. So, all of that being said, sitting down for half an hour a day to make a flashcard that you're going to use, and you're going to keep these, you're going to use them multiple times, but if you're making a paper flashcard, you still have to listen to the sounds, right? You have to find recordings that so that you can hear them as well, and a few other things like that. When you use the apps, it's a little bit easier than that, but there's just so much to it, and you're adding this on to actually trying to make sense of the language so that you can use it in day to day.
But here's the thing is, if you want to learn a new language, you have to make that time. Like if you're just not going to learn a new language if you just don't put the time aside. You got to do it every day.
I literally just started asking people at work. I'm like, hey, can I just use my Spanish with you? It's gonna be bad. Um, you know, do
Hmm.
you mind? Most of them say no, I don't mind, but I'm not here to teach you.
But
So,
that's but you're finding a way to make that time. Like
mhm.
right, like I do. I have my italki. I have my I mean, I had a Spanish and a Korean tutor. I'm taking a little bit of time off. So one of the things he says in the book is do not learn more than one language at a time, right? Which of course I've been going back and forth with Korean and Spanish when I shouldn't. I should just pick one language, learn it, and then move on to the next one. But I feel like I really want to learn Spanish. And I feel like because, I have people in my family who don't speak English, I would really love to be able to communicate with them. But at the same time, I've come so far in Korean, it's like I just don't want to give up on that and lose that. So I keep going back and forth. But what is the point of me trying to say? Um, oh, so I have my italki, right? Italki, and he mentions italki in the book. It's a website you go to, you can hire a tutor. It's the prices vary. I pay like $18 for like a 45-minute lesson. Um, so I have my italki once a week, and then my tutor's like, listen, 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 listen to podcasts, listen to Pimsleur, listen to TV shows, and a lot of, for my Spanish tutor, he's read this book, he's familiar with it, and his lessons can be incorporated into how, this author teaches you to learn a language. Um, but I find the time when I'm driving, I listen to Pimsleur, right? I have to drive anyways, right?
Mhm.
Work has me driving to different cities, so I have the time there. I make the time by listening to it in the car. Um, I started listening to it while my daughter's in jujitsu, and I'm just sitting there. I listen to it during her jujitsu lesson, right? You find the time.
Mhm.
The listening, you can find the time. You just squish it into your driving. You squish it into your errands, whatever. Um, but I mean, like if you really wanted to learn, you can make it happen to an
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah.
Making the flashcards, though, I mean, with the app, it's much easier. Takes 2 seconds to make the flashcard. But if you don't want to pay for the app, you're going to be spending a significant amount of time. And either way, I mean, if you don't really want to learn the language, why are you going to be reading this book?
Yeah, that's true right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been studying Spanish for a while now. It's gosh, been close to 4 years. Um, Little side note, I actually started dreaming in Spanish last year. Like on and off. It's not like every single dream, but I started dreaming in Spanish and using it. And the crazy thing is, in my dream, the Spanish is actually more correct than in real life. So I don't know if that's a good thing or if I'm just, misremembering it. But making progress. If I had read this before I started learning Spanish, I think it would have been a lot more effective for me. I would have made a lot more progress a lot earlier. Um, but I also grew up in a neighborhood where Spanish was extremely common. Um, obviously I'm white, I'm from a white family, but we had mixed race family as well. My uncles, and I've spent so much time with different family members who speak Spanish and they'll use it with me that I know a lot of the different words and rules. I just didn't have any experience putting them together. And it's like he was saying in that, like with people
People who
who have
grew up listening to it, so their ears
exactly.
from yeah.
Yeah. So I had that experience with it, and then I go into like a formal learning setting. I'm like, that's not what I remember. That's not how I've used it. That's not how it's been used with me. So it
Mhm.
was really confusing trying to get a hold of that. And it's really just because I was learning the basic rules rather than how people use the language in this area, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, Something else I thought was interesting that he brought up is um, what was it called? He called it the delayed learning, right? You want to have a gap in between, like right before you forget the words, before you refresh it.
Mhm.
Do you remember that part?
That might be referring to like, is that when he also talks about how like if you use uh when he's discussing like when to review words and how to review them and how Anki and the app will kind of do it for you, where they'll show you the word at the appropriate time based on how often how confident you are in the word.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's actually an interesting thing. When I was going through that part, it just kind of made me think like one of the things that I've been doing to help practice my Spanish is literally just asking my coworkers, "Hey, can I practice my Spanish with you?"
Mhm.
Or not even really so explicit, just like, "Hey, I'm trying to learn Spanish. I'm going to use it. It's going to be bad." Um, and they're like, "Yeah, that's fine." But the cool part is when I was listening to that part of the book, I can actually identify several words that I'm right on the cusp of forgetting.
Mhm.
Like I know that like they're I could use them if I needed to, or if I heard it in a sentence, I could put the structure together, but I can't remember the specific meanings. I'm like, okay, so I can see how like refreshing myself on that right at this moment would be a good idea, right? And then just reaffirming that connection to it.
One of the things with the books is you'll get a PDF file with resources. Um, he does give you like the first 600 words to learn, and and they're really random words, honestly. Um, and it gives you websites you can go to where you can find more resources with, I think he even has a link where you can go to get the audio of how these words sound, and then you can plug that sound into like the Anki card, or you can just, click on it and listen to it on your own. The app does have the audio already. His Fluent Forever app already has audio, which also saves you so much time. Um, so that was useful when I first started reading the book. But I was also already doing some of the things he was saying, like, get a tutor for my talkie and um, just listen. And one of the things, and going to my biggest problem I have right now is with my Spanish, I'm at a standstill because I don't use it. unless I'm having my tutor lesson, which is once a week. I feel like I'm listening to the Pimsleur, learning new languages or learning new words. I'm doing the flashcards. I listen to podcasts in the background just so my ear gets used to it, but I'm not using it. So it's like every time I learn something new, I'm forgetting it and I'm just like, I'm stuck. And my husband speaks
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, but I haven't started speaking to him in Spanish because I'm really insecure about my Spanish and he likes to joke around
Mm-hmm.
when I speak Spanish and it's not in a mean way. He just trying to be
Teasing.
cute and funny, but it makes because I'm so insecure, it makes me uncomfortable. Last night
Right.
I actually was like, okay, I told him I need to start speaking Spanish. So when I start speaking Spanish, don't make jokes or anything. And he's just like, okay. Um, so we'll see how that goes in the following week.
Yeah.
I do will speak a little bit of Spanish to my grandpa because he doesn't really speak English, and I'm okay speaking Spanish with him or trying because no one else is there to hear me. Um, and I know he's insecure speaking English, so it's just like two insecure people speaking to each other. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I need to speak. I need to speak more.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just at this point where I learn new things and I forget it because I'm not using it. And he mentions in the book where he has groups you can sign up for where you guys he kind of coaches and people in the group speak with each other. It's super expensive. Like I am paying for that.
Yeah,
Like
no
I'll
way.
spend $10 a month on an app, but I'm not about to spend a couple $100s on a group. Um, but one of the th examples he brings up is there was a guy like he'll like in the beginning of class he'll invite people to like kind of introduce themselves and say something in the language they're trying to learn so they can learn to be comfortable speaking among each other because they're all learners, they're all insecure. Um, and there was somebody there learning a new language, and it wasn't his first time learning the language. Um, but that man understood you need to use it to learn it. And he's just like, I don't remember what he says, but he's learning Spanish, and he says a sentence, and if you understand those words in Spanish, you understood what he was saying, but none of the words were conjugated.
Oh.
But the guy, because he doesn't know conjugation yet. Uh, but he's just like, but the man he was confident. He understood. You want to learn a language? You need to start using it. I don't know how to conjugate, but I know these words, so I'm just going to say these words. And it's like that's just what you need to do.
Yeah.
You need to start using it, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to be there.
Something that he mentioned in a book in the book was that learning an accent well sometimes makes people think that you know more than you do.
Mm.
I had an experience like that at work with one of our custodial staff. Um, they mentioned a couple things, and I made a request because she like always puts the trash can in the wrong spot. So
Hmm.
I tried that. I went and practiced the phrase like um, uh, "Yo quiero la basura aquí," right? And I practiced how to say it and all that. I
Hmm.
can't. I'm not doing it now, but like. I practice how to say it, the right way. And her eyes lit up and she goes into this list and I just glaze over and she looks at me like, oh, no speak Spanish. And she doesn't speak English either, but she knew that, right? So I was like, poquito. So I was like, that part, like I really related to that. I'm like, yeah, no, I just want the trash right here. Um, but
Do you have do
sorry,
you
what?
have Papago
Papago? No.
or Google Translate?
No, yes, I do.
Okay.
I
I
have
mean,
that
you could have
capability.
just had her speak into the app and then it would have translated for
I
you.
I could have, but I'm trying to learn Spanish and I'm like, okay, so I
But you were at a point where you couldn't go any further.
yeah, I was at that plateau and I'm just like I'm gonna start trying to use it and then it was like I don't know if I did a good job at my accent or something. I've always been told that I have a terrible Spanish accent, so, maybe I worked on that one enough, but she lit up like, "Oh, you speak Spanish?" And I'm like, "Not really." I understand a lot of Spanish, and I can actually keep up with most of a conversation at regular speed now, but to actually fully understand what you're
Mm.
trying to say, I need you to speak a little slower. Um, but yeah, no, and it was just one of those that's just something from the book that I definitely related to. Like learning how to pronounce it correctly
Hmm.
really, really was helpful. And I noticed that after I actually spent some time trying to do that, some of the other words that I'd struggled with were a lot easier, you know?
I think he mentioned also, yes, learning with other learners is helpful because you're learning together. You don't feel so insecure, but learning with the native is going to help with your accent.
Yeah. And I think her accent is a little different than what I'm used to.
Mm.
Um
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's growing up in like, Mexican community. I was like the one kid that didn't speak Spanish, but I do notice a change in accents when I'm in like when I went to the East Coast and you hear people speak Spanish, you're just like, oh, this is different.
hmm
Uh, um, and actually, when I was looking for an italki tutor, um, I specifically looked at people from Mexico because the tutors are, you can get a tutor from, whatever country's language, right? So my tutor's from Mexico. Um, but I specifically look for people from Mexico and then I'd watch the video and listen to their accents and I'd pick someone whose accent I was already familiar with.
One thing that I'm struggling with now is like literally just, so what was that? The syntax of it, right? So I've got the basics down. Like I can form a sentence and
Mhm.
it's just recalling it in the moment that's a problem. Something I've been trying to do is literally if I have a conversation with anybody, even in English, I'll try to recreate that sentence just in Spanish in my head. He also mentioned, I wanted to bring this up specifically, but he mentioned he mentioned the International Phonetic Alphabet Chart. And I think that was part of the handout or the PDF that you mentioned, right?
It might have been on there. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Something that I got from my linguistics class is literally there's just an interactive chart that'll actually pronounce it for you. Right? I'll send you the link for that one for sure. But like literally, if you just Google interactive IPA chart, you'll have it, and it goes through all of the actual sound placements where in your mouth, which is something that he was talking about as well. Like when you're actually trying to speak the language
Mhm.
or form the words, especially the ones that you don't really have experience forming them. You talked about back chaining, you start at the end, and then add bits on until you get the whole word. I tried it with the Russian word that he did, and I don't remember how to say it. I've completely forgotten the word. It's been like 5 minutes. But it worked, right? I could do that. With the IPA chart, you can actually as long as you can identify what the sounds are supposed to be, using the IPA chart, you can actually figure out where in your mouth you need to position your tongue or how to use your throat in a way to actually produce that sound, just from a technical aspect. And then there are other sounds like I think it was in the French section, one of the French sections where he mentions the U, which is not a sound that I make. It's like even now it sounds more like ew than the way it should, like ew. And it's like looking at the chart and it's like you can have it pronounce it. Like, oh, okay, so that's what it's supposed to sound like.
Okay, I know he mentioned learning the IPA. I've never bothered to learn that because it's like, okay, I'm gonna learn this alphabet and then I gotta learn the alphabet of whatever language I'm learning. So I just go straight to learning the alphabet of whatever language I'm learning. Um, it just seems like extra work because you're gonna have to learn those letters anyways. But in his app, like there are a few Korean letters I've had trouble pronouncing. Um, So I initially learned the Korean alphabet like in an hour. 90 Day Korean has a free PDF file with to teach you to learn the alphabet, and they associate each letter with a picture. So, like the letter that makes the B sound looks like a bed. Um, so I was able to learn, for the most part, I was able to learn the alphabet within like an hour based off that PDF. But because they're using English words to help you pronounce those letters, my pronunciation for all those letters were not completely accurate. Um, so what the I mean, my tutor has helped me with my past tutors. I've had a couple different tutors have helped me with my pronunciation, but the Fluent Forever app also has videos with like little like you were saying with the position of your tongue and everything. He has
Hmm.
little videos in the app explaining how to pronounce each letter. So then it's like I never had to learn the international alphabet. I just
Like I said, this is just coincidental. I'm having to learn this for my linguistics class anyway. I do think it's going to be helpful though. Like I've already noticed just from actually using this tool that my pronunciation is improving with certain words. Um, like the like with trills, right? With in Spanish there's a ton of trills. Um, People always talked about rolling R's, and I'm like, I didn't understand that. That doesn't make sense in my head. Like, am I just making more than one R? Like, didn't make sense. But with the app and going or not the app, but with the chart here,
Mhm.
looking at the trill and how it's supposed to be pronounced and like where you position things to do it, I'm like, it makes so much more sense. Like, there's like just a little slight nuance to it, but like if you know where to put your and I guess just anatomy to make the sound, it's the hugest difference. And people can't they don't just put open their mouth and say, hey, you have to put your tongue here, right? It's
Yeah.
when you're learning a language, it's literally just on page. So what was that? That was another part that he mentioned is broken words, right? You can read it on a page and not know how it's said. And if you hear it, it's really just trial and error to try to recreate the sound. But
Mhm.
knowing the structure of how it was made was really helpful for me.
Mhm. My Korean tutor, I don't even remember what letter it was. I could not pronounce it. And he's like, "No, you put your tongue here." And I was like, "I don't know what put your tongue here means." Because he'd be like, "Here, put your tongue." I'm like, "I don't know what that means."
Is it a
I was
dental
like,
fr- is it a dental fricative? Is it a plosive? Or is it a nasal postalveolar? What are we talking about
I
here?
was like, I don't know what that means. I was like, it was like 5 minutes of us arguing about how I should be pronouncing this letter. I could not pronounce it
Was it
correctly.
the BP sound?
No, it was like one of the G sounds,
Oh,
but maybe.
I
I
know
don't remember.
Brits mentioned that the BP sound was kind of hard for her. Like I can't say it myself. I can't even hear it really. But she mentioned that that one was like trying to actually say it right was really hard for her.
Um, it was like a G sound or something, and I was like, you know what? Let's move
You
on. I'm not getting this. I was like, I'll practice on my own. And I just happened to find those videos on the app. And then I was
hmm
like, I don't even remember what letter it is now. If I went back to try to read that word, I don't know if I would be able to do it correctly now. But at the time, the video on the app helped a lot because it gives you like the dissected mouth so you can see where the tongue goes and everything.
hmm
And you see the movement of the tongue as you make the sound or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that was helpful. But yeah, I was just like, there's been a couple times with my Korean tutor where he's just like getting annoyed with me because I can't pronounce word. I'm like, I'm sorry. It just doesn't come out.
hmm Did you have you gotten the frequency dictionary for
I
either of those?
did. Okay, so going back to having the time, I got the book, so both for Korean and Spanish. I got the frequency dictionary and I got the books with the like most commonly used sentences. And it makes sense to have those books and to learn from those books.
Hmm.
But to sit down and go through those books is difficult, especially when most of my learning is being done like while I'm driving or while I'm sitting down during a jujitsu lesson, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I have the books. I barely open them. I don't even think I've opened my Korean books. Um, it makes sense. It's just having that time, and I schedule the time. Like I have my planner I do at the beginning every week, and I have it every day at like 8 o'clock Spanish time. But by the time I get home from work, um, Maria's after school things, making dinner, and then finally getting to sit down and have time to myself, it's like, okay, now I gotta do this hour of Spanish. I'm tired.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that 1 hour is like the 1 hour I have in the day to just sit down and not do anything.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like even 10 minutes is a tough. Sometimes it's tough to sit down and just do that. Like one of the reasons I stopped using Duolingo is because it's important to be interactive with the language learning, but
Mhm.
it's also one of those things where it's like I am completely breaking away from everything else to stop and do this one thing. And there are so many other things that need to be done that I need to take care of, and there's no time to actually stop and relax, like you were saying. Like, I'm at a point where I don't think Duolingo is going to be very m much help for me because I think I've gotten pretty much what I can get out of it from at this time. Like maybe I'll go back to it a little bit later on, but at the moment, I've noticed that it's just making me frustrated more than anything else because it's like the things that it's focusing on aren't the things that I need to improve on when I'm actually trying to talk to somebody, if that makes sense. Like I can understand most of what I'm hearing when I hear somebody speak Spanish. Um, and then trying to actually respond to it is it's the difficult part, right? I know that I need to shift my learning strategies, and sitting down and actually putting things together might help my mental, might help my academic portion, but it's like you were saying earlier, you have to use the language. So what I brought up the frequency dictionary is because I noticed that I have a ton of like really odd blind spots with
Yes.
Spanish, like really like strange blind spots. Like there are some words that is like, okay, so I've never heard that before. Like I can pick up what you mean based on the context, but I've never heard that before. I've never
Hmm.
even heard some of the like you guys are using phrases like that should make sense, but it's like
Hmm.
that doesn't. Like, w wait, what's going on here? I'm a little lost.
So something I'm pretty sure I said this in this book. It's been a minute since I've read the book. Um, I'm pretty sure he discusses, you know how like when we get a Spanish textbook and you learn words based off category, like learn the colors, learn,
Hmm.
and it's like saying you don't want to do that because you're only going to be remembering that word when you're discussing that topic, right?
Yes, yeah.
And so the first 600 words they give you, they're really random words, but they're words that, how do I say this? They're words that will help you know have a basic conversation no matter the topic,
Hmm.
where you can kind of guess on what people are saying based off context.
Right.
And then, and I think that's also that's also the reason for so the first 600 words, they're not the first 600 most frequently used words.
No.
But using that dictionary is going to help you fill in all those gaps in a basic conversation. And
Hmm.
it makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Because, when you have a conversation with somebody, it's not going to be like, we're going to be talking about, our favorite colors now. No, they're going to be talking about like, oh yeah, I went to the grocery store and then I did this and this, you know?
Hmm.
But getting the time to sit down and look at that dictionary is another story. And I think it also goes to like, okay, goes back to the flashcard thing. After you make the flashcards for those first 600 words, then you're going to move on to the frequency dictionary and sentences. But first, you have to get through that first 600 words. And even with the app, I'm not even halfway through the 600 words. It's actually, I mean, 600 words doesn't seem like that much. But then when you start doing it, it's like, oh God, this is a lot of words. I think I'm only on like 200 words.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you learn all of the different pieces. And it's like I was saying before, like I'd grown up listening to people speak Spanish, like even as a kid, like I couldn't speak it, but I knew so many people who didn't speak English well that I could get by and communicate with somebody just
Hmm.
based like I can identify what they're trying to convey, if not the specific words, right?
Hmm.
You I learned the basics a long time ago when I was a kid, and I just never followed up on it. Really wish I
Yeah.
had. Like that would have been much more helpful. But I don't know. It's just like when the apps are focusing on and I will say that it's important what they were what I learned from the Duolingo is like the syntax of a sentence, the all the structural elements, tenses were difficult for me. Are difficult for me, I should say.
Hmm.
I'm slowly getting better at that. But I think the frequency dictionary is going to be huge because I keep running into like I've got all these different formal terms for the words,
Hmm.
and there's some informal that they mix in, but I can't tell for some reason. A lot of times I have trouble telling when the appropriate time to use informal versus formal, or even which is which sometimes when I'm talking to somebody, just face to face, and they're using terms that I'm like, okay, wait, that's like a third one that's completely different. I know what you're trying to say here, so I know it has to be that,
Hmm.
but it's not something that I've heard using the formal learning portions, right? Nothing in the app. When I've read books on it, that's not in there either. And I think that comes back to like regional, like dialectal changes and whatnot, right? Um, the neighborhood I grew up in was all it was all like North Californian Mexican Spanish.
Hmm.
Right? So they're all people who grew up speaking English and Spanish.
Yeah.
So it's very different from like Cantilian Spanish or just even Mexican Spanish, right? So um, I know that I've got some really odd habits as far as Spanish goes.
Yeah, I was, and I mentioned this to him when I first, like our first class. He was all like, "No, that's not." He told me it's not important. The accent's not important until later on. I was like,
I disagree.
well, I disagree because like his video, my brain just kind of connected with his accent so much more easily than when I was listening to like, a video of a tutor from like Spain or something, and I'm like, "Whoa, that don't sound right to me." Um.
Hmm.
But I totally get what you're saying because, the area I grew up in is all Mexican. So,
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that reminds me. Like, I bought a book on Audible that was a book that I've read in English several times, and the way that the reader pronounces things is much more like Cantilian Spanish, like from
mhm,
Spain. And I guess, I should caveat that with I've recently learned that there are several dozen different like dialectal changes of Spanish in Spain alone.
mhm.
So, like Cantilian is I think that's what the official language of the government or something like that, but maybe I'm wrong. Point being, like that's the one that a lot of people hoist up and say this is the correct Spanish, and it's not there's no correct Spanish. There's no correct English. These are all just different language
Mhm.
ideologies that we grew up with and whatnot, and
Yeah.
we hear about it. But like he sounds grating to my ears. Like
Agreeing to your ears.
great, like listening to him speak Spanish, I'm like, this guy sounds like a jerk. And that's not what this character is trying to convey. Like, I know that. I've read this book. I know how this character is supposed to be speaking. And this guy who's reading it just sounds like just the most pretentious speaker. Like,
I guess
what
it
he,
goes back to the importance of a good narrator when you have an
yeah, yeah. And I'm
reading
sure that
audible.
I'm sure that the narrator is very good at what he does. I don't want to like put down the narrator. He didn't do anything wrong. I'm not going to point out what book it was because I don't want to like taint that for anybody. But like just for me listening to him, like, no, this is the wrong accent for this character. What are you doing? Like, terrible.
Trying to think if there what else in the book that stood out to me. For me, it's like everything just it made sense. It's just finding, but I'm not able to implement everything because I don't have the time to do it.
Well, text me in
Um,
Spanish. It'll force me to try and,
oh, we should start texting each other in
yeah,
Spanish.
let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that
Um,
because it'll give us both practice.
and hopefully I can get over my insecurities and start talking to my husband in Spanish.
You know
Maybe
that I'm not going to judge you for your pronunciation. Mine is terrible as
that's
well.
true. We'll just speak horrible Spanish to each other.
There we go.
And
Yeah. It'll
yeah, we'll
force
figure
me to
it out.
practice because I don't talk to anybody in Spanish unless I absolutely
So
have to.
I only do it during my tutor lesson, and then I'm just like it's half English, half Spanish because I just
Can't remember the words on.
yeah. So we'll just speak horrible Spanish to each other and text each other
Yeah,
in
there
Spanish.
we go.
Hopefully I get over my insecurities and I can speak Spanish to my husband.
Hmm.
Um,
I had
oh,
Felipe start texting me in Spanish at
oh,
work,
that's good.
so yeah.
So one thing he brought up what I thought was a good idea was because he's like, listen, keep listening in the language you're learning, right? And one of the things was, and this is when you get a little bit more advanced, and I think I might be my listening is far better than my speaking, as long as it's more slow. My mom speaks too fast for me.
Hmm.
Um, there was this little girl from Mexico in my daughter's science camp who spoke Spanish a little bit. Her English is great. She thinks her English is bad. It's not. She's just this freaking little girl who's bilingual and speaks better English and Spanish than me. Whatever. Jealous. But when she spoke Spanish, it was way too fast for me. Like, oh my gosh, she's a fast speaker.
Hmm.
What's the point of my okay, anyways, because he's like read books, read your favorite book in Spanish, right? Like Harry Potter, like you've read Harry Potter.
I
It's
have. I
it's
didn't like
trans.
the book.
I couldn't get I liked the first book. I couldn't get past the second book.
I've
But
I've finished them all. I didn't like the books. I liked the
then why did
movies.
you finish them all if you didn't like them?
There was a deal involved. I got
Oh, okay.
Brit to read a series that I like, and I read that one as
Uh,
well. And it was just like there were things about it that were good. I thought the movies were better,
mm.
but I'm also not
Well,
a fan of J.K. Rowling now. So
yeah, I
I
think a
did read
lot
it
of us are.
before. I did read it before, but even so.
But he's saying like books like Harry Potter, books you that are I mean it's translated in how many languages and you've already read it, you're already familiar with the story. So
Hmm.
read it in the language you're learning. Or with your favorite TV show, you can dub it in whatever language. I tried doing that though for Ugly Betty because like I love Ugly Betty. I've seen it 20 times,
Uh-huh.
but they didn't have the option on Netflix to dub it in Spanish, so I have to find a different TV show to do that too. But I thought that was a good idea. It's like, yeah, we need to be listening more. Why not do it in a show that we've already watched? We already know what's going on, so we don't have to try so hard to try to like listen to every word.
Hmm.
Maybe that's what I'll do today is find a TV show I can dub in Spanish.
Yeah, I'm getting much better at listening, but my listening skills need a lot of work. I definitely need to practice.
Mm.
I will say that, so I probably shouldn't admit this, but a lot of my listening practice comes in just eavesdropping on other people. So trying to make sense of their conversation, I'm just, that I'm hearing while I'm doing something. It's just like, okay, I know this word, know that word, know this word. Usually I can put it together from context clues if I'm missing something. The hardest part for that one is that if they're not talking directly to me, I can't always hear the entire word as they're saying it,
Yeah.
especially with like accent and whatnot. So, there's that. I should probably do some, more actual listening. I actually bought another book that was, and maybe you'd be interested in this, but let me see if I can pull it up. It's literally just pronunciation of Spanish.
Mm.
Just the like I started it right before this, and I put it down so that we could listen or read this one instead.
Mm.
I'll send it to you later, but like
Okay.
he goes over the actual sounds that you need, and it has you know, you're supposed to practice along with them, like goes over the analogous sounds, the analogous words, the way that the sentence is structured, and so that. Um, and then you get the opportunity to practice those sounds as they go. So I'm like, okay, I can see that this would be very useful. It's also another one though that he's like speaking very specific, like um, formal Spanish. I
Mm.
shouldn't say proper because it's not that it's improper. It's actually really not even that it's more formal. It's just that is, you know, the textbook Spanish rather than the way it's actually used. Actually, another coworker of mine really shut me, like, kind of shut me down, like, kind of soft shut me down. Like, you know, like when I was trying to say a specific phrase, and she's like, no, no, you don't use, like, yes, that's technically, like, correct, but, like, that's not how you say that. Like,
Mm.
and I've had a similar experience with an English learner. Like, yes, those are the right words technically, but you don't use that word in this situation, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like it's a little tough on that part. I forgot what I was trying to say. Completely lost track of my train of thought there.
Talking about formal versus informal.
Hmm.
Um, on the Pimsleur's where I get most of my listening from.
Sure.
Um, and there's just certain words they would switch back and forth for, and I didn't. And thankfully, I have the tutor where I can ask him these questions. Otherwise, I wouldn't have anybody to ask these questions to. Um,
Hmm.
like when to use creer and pensar or mirar versus ver. So that was he's like, yeah, technically, like mirar is supposed to be the word to use here, but we don't really use it. And so it's nice to have somebody to go to ask those questions.
Actually, yeah, that actually reminded me. Like, um, apparently I'm using too many words, is what she was saying. Like, I'm using like when I say when you're saying like when you're addressing somebody, so or even like I didn't do anything this weekend. Like, yo no hice nada. Right?
Hmm.
Just like drop the note. No hice nada. Like, you got like, what do you know, you don't need the extra stuff, right?
Hmm.
I'm like, that's not what I was taught. It's not the way you know, he's like, no, but trust me, this is the way you're supposed to say it. So, like, it's not that it's like, it's just the structure is slightly different too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
I don't even know if my accent there was okay, but it felt right. So, it felt right.
I'm not the
That's
person to ask.
I know. Well, it's like you said, we're gonna speak bad Spanish to
We're
each
gonna
other,
speak
okay?
bad
So,
Spanish to each other. Yeah. And one of I don't know why this reminded me of this, but one of the things he brought up in the book is why you don't learn more than one language at a time, or one of the reasons why you don't learn more than one language at a time is like, for example, Spanish and Korean sentence structure is very different.
hmm
It's like the opposite of each other. So it's like you don't want to be trying to learn these two languages with two totally different sentence structures.
hmm
Um, but for me, I think it's more of a vocab thing and a listening because the sentence structure for Korean to me is similar to Farsi. And I at one point in my life was able to read and write Farsi, not anymore. So um I feel like the sentence structure isn't as confusing to me because it is like Farsi, so I don't feel like I'm learning something completely new and different.
Well, maybe you should and you know, you can tell me if you don't want to do this, but like part of the one of the things that they talked about in the book was reacquiring forgotten language, like, you know, similar to being like heritage speakers, right? You've got the skills for it, you just haven't used them in so long, you would have to reacquire them.
I would love to learn Farsi again. When I look back,
It might
man,
actually make it cement better.
well, when I look back at how much, I mean, I couldn't really have a conversation in Farsi because like I've said, I'm always insecure about speaking a new language. I didn't use it enough when I was learning it. But the reading and writing, I definitely picked up. Like I'd be able to go online and read the news in Farsi. And I think, and I still have all my textbooks from DLI. So I always think about just picking them back up and relearning it. And I'm kind of like, I'm disappointed in myself that I got so far in learning that language and I lost it all.
See, I think that that was one of the things that like that he made a big point of in the book is that like I don't think you've actually lost it. You've lost quick access to it,
Mm,
but he was talking part one of the things that at least what I took away from it was that time and reinforcement, like the distance between the last time you learned it and this time, is going to help like make that more important to your brain and hold on to it better.
mm,
Like you haven't used it in so long. If you find a reason, if you want to learn it, that is, if you find a reason to to reinforce that, it's probably gonna stick better than it did the first time, right?
yeah.
I mentioned that I've been learning Spanish for about 4 years now, but like I tried to learn Spanish in high school too, right? I didn't take a class for it, but
Oh, yeah, so did I.
I tried to learn, right? And I tried, I tried to learn Spanish back when I was in grade school.
Mhm.
Not again, not anything formal, but like I tried to speak with, because I grew up in the community, in a community with a lot of Spanish speakers. Like I wanted to understand what people were talking about, right? And it's, the hard part was like, some people will like get paranoid, like, oh, well, are you talking about me? Sometimes they are, but usually no. Usually it's just something that the person either doesn't want to announce to everybody or
Mm.
they just want to say something that's like they don't know how to say it with nuance in their second language. So it's like, what am I missing that I, you know, what skills can I pick up that I can understand them better? You know what I mean? So over time, like I said, I've had multiple rounds of trying to learn it, and I think I'm okay. One thing that I've kind of picked up from my linguistics class is that I probably have a stronger skill set than I think I do.
Hmm.
Like as far as understanding and speaking Spanish, I'm much better at understanding than I am at speaking for sure, but that's because I haven't practiced. Um, but like when I am not under pressure, I can come up with sentences in Spanish that actually make grammatical sense.
Yeah.
I realize that I actually use a lot of Spanish grammar in my English when I shouldn't, and that's probably a reason people a lot of times will comment like, well, the way you talk is weird, right? What do you, and I'm like, yeah, well, it's just the way that I talk, right? I'm an odd mix of like formal and informal English with Spanish influences and all these other types of things that are coming in from other areas, right? So, but yeah, long story short, like going back into it might be helpful, right? I think
Yeah, I think about picking the Farsi back up, the Farsi. Um,
the
but at
Farsi.
the same time, I feel like learning Korean would be so much more useful to me because I'm always watching dramas. Or Spanish, of course, would be far more useful for me because I work with people who speak Spanish. I have family members who speak Spanish. Um, or like right now, like maybe not like this month, but in like a couple months, I intend to start learning Italian because we're going to Italy next year.
Well,
Um,
Italian might be easier for you
the
with your
Spanish.
Spanish.
Yeah. But
I
I mean,
noticed.
I like every time I go, okay, I didn't, we just went to Romania. I didn't learn Romanian.
Hmm.
Um, I just didn't have the urge to learn, and we decided to go to Romania last minute, so I didn't put the effort in. But usually, when I go to a new country, I will start learning the some of the language at least a couple months before, so I
Hmm.
at least know the basics, like where's the bathroom, how much is this? Um, but I would love to, since I know we're going to Italy next year, I have like a year to study. I'd really love to start learning soon so that I can at least have basic conversations while I'm there.
Okay. Yeah.
But like because I'm always trying to learn something new and like we go to a different country every year, it's hard to say, okay, I'm gonna pick up Farsi because there's all this other language I want to learn.
Maybe you should take another like well, I mean you've already finished your master's, but maybe you should like take another linguistics class.
I don't want to do that again.
Or
I
you
had such a
do it,
horrible
you could
experience.
try and audit the class or something like that and just kind of
I don't want
sit
to do
in the background.
that.
No? Eh,
I really hated my linguistics class. It was a really bad class, and it kind of just
Uh,
ruined linguistics for me.
that's fair. I was worried about that with this one, but I think I'm having a really good experience with this
Your
professor,
class
so
sounds very different from the class I had.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's a ton of reading, but it's also like she's really good at, well, she's a really good lecturer, and
Hmm.
most of what we're covering, like I'm hitting the topics like two, three times.
Hmm.
It probably helps that I'm reading that I read this book at this, started reading this book at the same time. Is that a little bit?
Hmm.
Because I'm like recognizing concepts that we've covered in class, that like as supplemental might be helpful. Um, it probably doesn't hurt that we read Proto just before the class too, because
Oh yeah.
yeah, that
I forgot
was.
about that book.
I recommended it to my Peopling of North America's class professor, and like because he's more of a bioarchaeological or bioarchaeology faunal analysis background,
Mhm.
but he has an interest in linguistics, and he was talking about how the genetics have supported a lot of the linguistic research that he's
Yeah.
seen. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. Hey, I read this book that was talking about that. And he was like, oh, I hadn't heard about
All right, so thanks again for listening to the latest episode of Anthropotamus. I swear we're gonna come out with more episodes soon. Life's been hectic, but we're here. We're gonna keep producing. Once again, we were discussing Fluent Forever by Gabriel Wyner. If you are someone who is serious about learning a new language and you have that time to set aside, I do recommend this book. I also recommend just shelling out the $10 a month to get the app. It saves so much time rather than you creating your own flashcards and searching for videos and whatnot. So, but yes, learning a new language does take time. You do have to set that time aside. Um, but other than that, Les, any final words?
Um, yeah, no, I mean, I definitely thought that this book was very helpful. I mentioned that I was taking the linguistics class. I definitely learned a lot with that. A lot of what I'm learning in that linguistics class is reflected in this book in a much more simple and palatable format. Just like Ashley said, if you guys are interested in learning a language and you want something to help you in the right mindset before you really get started, pick it up, read it. It's not super long, so you'll have time, just go ahead and put that on while you're driving. And if nothing else, it's going to give you some ideas and practice on really how to think about learning a language before you really start to. Once you've done that, you have yourself in the right mindset. I think it's going to be a lot easier for any of you who are trying to actually pick up a language there. So definitely recommend it.
So thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all for listening. Distribution of Anthropotamus is in collaboration with the American Anthropological Association. Please continue to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Anthropotamus for our latest episodes, show notes, and book discussion schedule.